joy that we truly are. So you're pre-approved. That's the topic today. Right. You are pre-approved. And so our theme for this month is a December to remember. As we started out, December to remember. Last week we had Dale Allen Hoffman, and I have shoes on, so. So remember, if you remember a few years ago when you were receiving in the mail all of those pre-approved envelopes from credit card companies stamped in bright red, pre-approved or pre-approved. And if you remember, the letters seemed to they came more abundantly during the holiday season. And now I think they're saying you're pre-qualified. I don't know. They're not saying, I haven't gotten any that says pre-approved anyway. And while those days seem to have diminished somewhat, the spiritual lesson of that remains. And it's been an affirmation I've been using for about 15 years because it occurred to me one day when I was applying for some kind of loan that my affirmation was, you're pre-approved. I'm pre-approved in God. I'm So this is appropriate then for today and as we move through this holiday season. So please say with me, or after me, I came into this life pre-approved.
I came into this life pre-approved.
Did you?
Yes.
Say it again. I came into this life pre-approved.
I came into this life pre-approved.
Good. You believe it?
Yes. Yes.
Good. All right. Yes. Then you can go home. So at this time of the year, we think about the birth of Jesus. Okay? Our traditional Christian brothers and sisters believe that Jesus was born, lived, and died to absolve us from our sins. The original sin, if you remember. The original sin into which we are born, but we respectfully disagree with that. In religious science, New Thought, we believe that we're not born in original sin, but we are born in original innocence. We are born in original innocence. And we have the unconditional love and acceptance of God as our divine birthright. We came in with it, we've forgotten it somewhere along the line, but we're moving into remembering it more and more. So that what we co-create is a life that reflects that pre-approval, that we are worthy of all the good that we could ever imagine and even more. So as I was thinking about those envelopes that would come in the mail, that you were pre-approved, stamp on the front, if you had one of them, you would find in them terms and conditions. If you read the fine print, you got those terms and conditions for the credit card, or the bank loan, or whatever you were applying for. It's always little small letters, but they were terms and conditions, and they were the terms and conditions for that which you were pre-approved of. The same is true right here and right now this morning. Although we are pre-approved in God, as we say, God's love is eternally available to it if we accept it. If we accept it. It won't come to us, that pre-approval, that feeling of worthiness, if we don't receive it, accept it, and if we are not open to it. If we've closed down and we're not open to that good. So we're always peeling, as they say, that perennial onion layer, which is limitless in its layers. I'm convinced of that. The law of the universe says we can only receive as much of God's unconditional love and blessings as we are able to hold. What are we open to it? It's like we were saying earlier, last month or sometime, but it's true. We're like the fish in the ocean. We are in this consciousness of unlimited good, and it's always available, always. But in order to experience it, we must receive it. So just like the pre-approved credit cards that we were getting in the mail, there are terms and conditions into accepting it. So Moses and the Israelites had the 10 Commandments. And so we're going to kind of weave that in this morning. And I want to give you 10 terms and conditions to activate your pre-approval. You want to activate your pre-approval? You're already approved, but I even changed my affirmation, I must say, to I am approved in God. Because you can get pre-approved and then actually sign it and send it in, and it doesn't quite happen. So I am approved in God. So that's just what happens when we blend in these 10 terms and conditions for New Thought. So term and condition number 1, thou shalt know that God and only the one God dwells within thee. And this quote, which is often associated with Emerson, don't know for sure, but it's beautiful. What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny compared to what lies within us. We are powerful. 15th century German philosopher, theologian, and mystic Meister Eckhart wrote, "The seed of God is in us. Given an intelligent and hard-working farmer, it will thrive and grow into God whose seed it is. And accordingly, its fruits will be God nature. Pear seeds grow into a pear tree. Nut seeds grow into a nut tree. And God seeds grow into God." And each and every one of us is an individualized, beautiful jewel expression, creation of this God stuff. It's our real truth. That's what we are deepening into over and over until we really can get it. And when we get it, then we don't even have to show up here. Although it's kind of fun because we're with our friends and like-minded people. And you know we're going to forget. And so we're reminded every Sunday. We're reminded who we are and whose we are. So in a wonderful book entitled, it's a little book, Dewey, the Small Town Library Cat Who Touched the World, the author, Vicki Myron, wrote this: "We all love Dewey. How could you resist his charm? He was beautiful, loving, social. His attitude seemed to be, how could anyone not love a cat?" Those of you who have cats, I know how you feel, all right? Or more simply, how can anyone resist me, the cat? Dewey didn't think of himself, I soon realized, as just another cat. He thought of himself correctly as one of a kind. One of a kind, unique, beautiful, a rare gem, a God seedling. That is who you are. You're a rare gem. You're a God seedling. Isn't that lovely? Yes. The first term and condition to be able to experience the truth of you are pre-approved is coming into that realization that there is that presence within me that is so powerful and magnificent. I am a rare jewel. I sparkle, I shine, I reveal myself in my authenticity. So term and condition number 2, thou shalt not have any graven false images of himself. So graven in the dictionary, because I looked it up, the first definition was deeply impressed and firmly fixed. Deeply impressed and firmly fixed. So let's reword that term and condition number 2. Thou shalt not have any deeply impressed, firmly fixed, false images of thyself. Mary Morrissey, whose programs we teach here, once said, "You could never outperform your self-image. It isn't the temperature of your life, it is the thermostat. It sets the conditions of your life." So where do you have your thermostat set at? In The Philosophy of Jesus for the World Today, a book written by Ernest Holmes, he writes what we think about an oak tree. Suppose every time that a tree had the urge to put forth a new branch, it said, "I don't think I am worthy of doing this. I am sure I am not good enough to have more than just a certain number of branches." Let us suppose that this tree is bemoaning its fate, because it would really love to have more branches, but it doesn't feel worthy enough to grow more branches, and so it's not lavishly adorned, as we see the trees as they shed their leaves and they come back, and it's magnificent to watch Mother Nature in progress. This is our true lesson, just to watch what Mother Nature does in lavish abundance. Holmes talks about wasteful, lavish abundance. I always love that. So I don't think that the tree would have any more branches, and it blocks off the possibility, would block off the possibility of drawing its life from the soil. If this should happen, then the tree would never probably get past 10 feet. But this tree does not do this. Trees do not do this. All they do is depend upon Mother Nature and the natural cycle of growth. That's it. No judgment. Trees don't sit there and think about how blocked they are, how unworthy they are. We do that as humans. We do this. We do this all the time, and that's what we're moving through. That's why it's important to connect with like-minded people who do remind you that you are limitless in your capabilities and capacities to create your life. We short-circuit the divine energy. We short-circuit that divine energy that is available and ready to flow through us at all times. And we know this intellectually, but bring it down into the physical. Bring it down into the soul. Bring it down into your belief system. That's what we're here to do. When we hold beliefs that we are unworthy, incapable, and undeserving, in other words, we are holding graven images of ourselves. That's what we're doing. If an oak tree were human, it would probably only grow, as I said, about 10 feet tall. So think about the possibilities that we have in our lives if we but get out of the way and stop short-circuiting our life. So I posed to you this morning that you can learn to feel worthy, valuable, deserving, simply by beginning to understand and really accept the truth of your being. Term and condition number 3. Just as thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, thou shalt stop talking wrongfully about ourselves. In fact, thou shalt start singing thine own praises all the days of your life. Find ourselves saying stuff, I do, about myself. It's not true. It's not true. I believe it and I don't believe it at the same time because I have awareness, but still the words are coming out of our mouths, and it's a tough one. We're doing the 4 agreements right now. So that's always a great reminder. The next one is never make assumptions. Wow. Last week it was don't take anything personally. Okay. So to actually take that big step or leap into saying really great things about yourself because you are worthy. You are a child of the divine, and to say anything against that would be taking the name of the Lord in vain. How much more pre-approved do you think you would feel if you only said really great or thought great things about yourself? Really believed in yourself fully and completely. And I absolutely love this true story that I found. Frank Szymanski, a Notre Dame center in the 1940s, this comes from an old newspaper article, was called in as a witness in a civil suit in South Bend, Indiana. Judge asks, are you on the Notre Dame football team this year? And he said, yes, Your Honor, I am. What position? Center, Your Honor. How good a center are you? Szymanski squirmed in his seat for a moment, but then said firmly, sir, I am the best center that Notre Dame has ever experienced or had. The coach, Frank Leary, who was in the courtroom, was a bit surprised. Szymanski had always been modest and unassuming. So when the proceedings were over, he took him aside and he asked him why he made such a bold statement. And Szymanski blushed and said, "I hated to do it, Coach, but after all, I was under oath." So, are we under oath? And what oath did we take? What oath did we take? Term condition number 4, remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. This one is exactly as it is. And if you're looking in your bulletins, because I see people writing these down, I did insert these 10 terms and conditions in there so you have them to look at. Anyway, this one fits something that I spoke of last month about radical self-care. We all need to take time to rest, to rejuvenate, to repair ourselves. Are we taking time for us? Are we taking time for us? That's the question. Because we can't give it away if we don't have it. So always repair, rejuvenate our own self. Term and condition number 5, honor thy father and mother. And this one will remain pure as well. There's nothing to change in it. And it can be a big one for some of us, depending on the types of mothers and fathers that we had. But if something comes up, then we really need to do some healing around that because it's blocking our good from truly flowing. It really is. And so healing, knowing that they gave birth to us, that is enough. That is the gift. That is the gift. We all came here for a reason, a purpose. And so we needed the avenues in which to appear herein. So we give thanks that we were born. We give thanks. And if you're having real trouble with that, see one of our practitioners and they will help guide you right through it. Term and condition number 6, thou shalt not murder. Thou shalt not kill thy hopes and dreams. How many hopes and dreams do we sabotage? Called self-sabotage. With our thinking. With our thinking. And this quote is from Notes from the Universe. I quoted it last month too. If you just have to go online and Google Notes from the Universe, and you'll get, every day you'll get a really cool, actually, quote. This one came and it said, the presumption at all times and under all circumstances should always be that you are good enough, worthy enough, and lovable enough. And that you are exactly the right kind of person in the right place at the right time. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been instilled with such dreams in the first place. Love you, the universe. And you get that every day. It is just fabulous to receive them because you put in what you really want to manifest in your life and it's giving it back. It keeps telling me about this 24/7 spiritual home. I mean, I get those from it all the time because I put that in. So I would urge you to do that. It's really fun. Walt Disney, who I love, Walt Disney said, if you can dream it, you can do it. Always remember the whole thing started with a mouse. Right? One idea, one drawing, a mouse. Term and condition number 7. You shall not commit adultery, and this would be, thou shalt be true to thyself. Be true to thyself. What is right for you? What is right for you? Follow your heart. Follow what is pulling you into a greater expression of who you are. Follow that intuition that we keep talking about. Are you meditating to find out what that voice actually feels and sounds like? It won't steer you wrong. It is divine guidance that is taking place when we listen. It doesn't have to have reason because we're listening with our heart. We're not listening with our minds, our thoughts. Remember, the heart doesn't have judgment, and it has more intelligence than the brain. Yes. Holmes wrote, the Christ also comes awakened by that still small voice of truth. There's a Christ self within each of us. Term and condition number 8, thou shalt not steal. thou shalt live in integrity. Integrity. And number 9, thou shalt not bear false witness against your neighbor, which is to lie or gossip. Thou shalt live in integrity. Both of those are about our integrity. And we use that word a lot. And it's very interesting that 2 of the commandments are speaking about integrity, our behavior, the way we show up. Also interesting that the Latin word from which integrity comes means to be whole or complete. And we talk about that. Remember, in the mind and nature of the divine, in this universal light energy, there is nothing missing. There is only wholeness. There is only light energy, which is brilliant. It's intelligent. It's all there is. So when we are in alignment with that goodness, we are in integrity. We can feel it. Check in with your body. We can feel when we're in integrity and when we're not in integrity. We can feel it. And that's the key to differentiating, am I in integrity or out of integrity? Just by how you feel. Term and condition number 10. Thou shalt not covet anything of another's. Thou shalt cease all comparisons from this day forward. Have you ever caught yourself comparing yourself to someone else? How does that feel?
Not good.
Perhaps they had more education. Perhaps they're prettier. Perhaps they're thinner. Perhaps they're more handsome. You know, perhaps. But it doesn't feel good when we do that. Instead, just being joyful for everyone's success, that's what really opens us up to experience more and more good. Those feelings are actually quite toxic. They're toxic to us, to our own well-being. We don't feel right. We're not in that homeostasis place of well-being. And there's a great line that comes from ancient philosophy that simply says, comparison is the killer of joy. Comparison is the killer of joy for sure. You and I are not here to compare ourselves with anyone else. That's not why we are here. We are here to compare the difference between how we are being and what God would like us to be. Because this, we are created so the infinite can express through us. If we have these thoughts of comparison and I'm not good enough and all this other chatter going on, we're blocking the expression. God can't express itself through us. It's a great concept Holmes came up with, and I don't know if he came up with it, but that he put together in his Science of Mind textbook, and it's brilliant. That we are created so that the divine can recognize itself, because what do? We're the only species that recognizes a higher power. Trees don't recognize a higher power, they just become more of who they are. And so that's where we've got choice. So choose the good thought. So remember that we are pre-approved, and in order to reap the benefits of that pre-approval, we must sometimes follow, in fact all the times, the terms and conditions. So I'm going to really quick say them. Thou shalt know that God and only the one God dwells within thee. Term and condition 2, thou shalt not have any graven, deeply impressed, firmly fixed, false images of thyself. Term and condition number 3, just as thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, thou shalt stop talking wrongly about thyself. In fact, thou shalt sing thy own praises all the days of thy life. And term and condition 4, remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Radical self-care. Take care of yourself. Term and condition 5, honor thy father and thy mother. They gave you birth. They were an entryway into this experience. Term and condition 6, thou shalt not kill thy dreams. Stop killing your dreams. You want to be a dream birther, not a dream killer, right? Yeah. Right, Margaret. The whole thing up here in my head with myself. Term and condition number 7. Thou shalt be true to thyself. Term and condition number 8. Stealing. Thou shalt live in integrity. And term and condition number 9. Lying. Thou shalt live in integrity. Yet again. We're reminded twice. Term and condition number 10. Thou shalt not covet anything of another's. And thou shalt cease from all comparisons from this moment forward. This is the now moment. It's always the now moment. So right here, right now, we set that intention. We set the intention of living a life that's well lived, knowing that we are pre-approved. And as we turn within constantly, continuously, to that source of all of our good, we are going to experience the kingdom of good because we are the heirs to the kingdom of good, of God. God the good. We are heirs to that kingdom. It's for us. You're pre-approved. Thank you, God. You don't even have to mail it back. Just know it. That's all you have to know. You're pre-approved to experience joy, love, wholeness, limitless possibilities. You are pre-approved to be you. All right.